Welcome to another episode of OG55. We are talking all about some Magic Key changes coming soon. We're talking about the Donkey Kong coaster in Japan, which is also coming to Epic Universe in 2025. And we're going to talk about a little bit of Animal Kingdom. I got Mr. Michael Webber in the house and the Italiano up next on Oh, Jeezy, Bitty, Beezy. What is happening, everybody? I am so happy to be here with Italiano and Mr. Webber talking all kind. We're doing Universal, we're doing Disneyland Resort, we're doing Walt Disney World. Today is a very mixed bag of goodies. George the Italiano at an undisclosed location in California. How are you doing today, George?
Doing good, doing really well. Yeah, I can't wait to talk this discussion with you fellas. And as you said, yeah, it's a pretty much of a mutt of a show, if you will. Definitely a mix of Land, Disney World, Universal, talking all that good jazz.
All that jazz. Gotta do jazz fingers for all that jazz. Mr. Italiano, where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. And he's Italian, so.
Yeah, buddy.
There it is. And our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the Spider-Man of OG55, Mr. Webber is here. Welcome back, sir.
OG, thank you so much for having me on again. This is always a good time with you fellas. Yeah, so I can't wait to talk about all this stuff again. Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Universal. It's gonna be great, guys. It's gonna be great.
Absolutely. Where can everybody find you on social media, Mr. Webber?
Absolutely. You can find me, Mr. Webber, at Webslinger760 on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads.
There you go. And for feet pics, you can find him on OnlyFans. No, I was kidding. I was kidding. All right, here we go, everybody. Let's dive right in. First topic of the day. We are talking Magic Keys. This is from friend of the channel, Mr. Five Fires himself, Mondo. Make sure everybody go and follow him on X and Instagram, and also subscribe to him on Twitter. They do amazing work over there, him and Danny, and it's just incredible content. Make sure you follow them and support them if you aren't already. But here he's tweeting out, this was from like 2 days ago now, less blockout dates for Disneyland Inspire Magic Key in 2026. We can now go on January 1st, 2026. So there's less blackout dates. He also goes on to say here, Believe will still be blocked the first days of 2026, while Inspire won't be. What is your take on this, Italiano? What is happening? Now, Inspire is the most expensive, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
So
for me, Ebba and I were actually talking on the phone about this, and I'm not going to mention one part of it because he actually thought of this, and I do agree with him. But there is also my point of view too that I brought up was I'm wondering if Disney is starting to see that a lot of, even though that they have hit a certain quota with Magic Keys of how many people are going into the parks, but they did mention the fact that they are going to have a little bit of a slump with park attendance in 2026. So I'm wondering if they're trying to entice more people who have the Magic Keys to say, hey, well, you know, if the park's going to be a little bit of a slump, then, you know, let's open it up for these Magic Key holders. For instance, Inspire will be opened starting in 2026, the first few days of January, which that has never happened. As it said, Believe does not. But also, too, the Enchant Key and the Imagine Key will also have some Saturdays open up throughout the year starting in 2026, which that has never happened before.
Now, of course, everybody here on this panel doesn't have to worry about any of that because we all have special access, you know. Of course, but just kidding. No, great points all around, George. Mr. Webber, what are your thoughts on this, brother?
Yeah, so So exactly what George was saying, to what he was saying, yes. And then what he mentioned about what we talked about, because me and George were talking about this a little bit. A point I brought up is, I mean, guys, look, this last price hike, it was a pretty significant hike. You know, the two keys had like $100 plus price hike. You know, by 2026, what's the price going to be like now, right? And that's going to be for every key. The lower key, the SoCal Imagine, is almost going to be up what the Enchant used to be. So now with the prices going up, you're going to have to offer more.
That's a great point. But I never thought about that. You're right. The prices are going up. So it's not necessarily Disney doing you a solid. They see that, hey, we're probably going to have some problems here if we keep jacking these prices and we're not giving back a little bit, right? That's a great point.
Yeah, and you know, because because already I'm seeing that type of complaint on social media already. You know, people are saying we're paying more, but we're getting less across the board, right? That's a common complaint I'm seeing. And then to George's point, which was about, you know, Disney was looking at kind of a slump in theme park attendance.
Right.
Well, you know, you guys know what I do for my other job, and what it sounds like is that's going to be kind of across the board.
Your night job, Eva, or your day job?
It's a secret. But you know, but like going across the board though, like the theme park market is very is very competitive right now, and you know, with prices going up, you know, families are having a harder time trying to get these theme park experiences. You know, like Disneyland is now offering, like right now, that, you know, that very good value. What was it, like the $200 for 3 days that includes weekends? Right. Yo, that's insane. You know, and then you know, it's like, so these theme parks are still trying to compete in the market, so they have to offer other incentives and values to get the guests in the park.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ebba, because just recently I've become an annual pass holder for both Knott's Berry Farm and Universal Studios Hollywood. And there are certain aspects that they have differently than Disneyland as they do with each other. For instance, with Knott's Berry Farm, you can get the lowest tier annual pass, but you could add free parking as an add-on to that. You have to pay a little bit upfront, but you don't necessarily have to get a specific high tier pass to get parking. You can kind of customize it to the way you want it, because maybe you don't want to have the soak area as part of your pass, but you do want the free parking. Well, you could add the parking into your low tier that doesn't count for anything. Also, for Universal Hollywood, I just come to realize that with the higher platinum, you get you get a free HHN per year, and also too for events like the New Year's Eve party that sparked my interest. It's included with the platinum. So I definitely agree with you. These theme parks are kind of battling to kind of give the bang for your buck, you know, like depending on what you spend. And it's like, okay, well, how can we entice this person to leave this theme park and come over to us?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And Eva, you've been making the point for a long time now about, like, because a lot of fans complain about Disney, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, Disney, they're too expensive. And then a lot of fans will say an alternative would be like a Knott's Berry Farm. Do you see that? Do you see that some Disney fans would go over there? Or do you feel like Knott's and stuff doesn't have enough to really offer that the alternative that people are looking for? Or even Universal, you know?
So that's the thing, right? Is if you're just talking general theme park, amusement park, yeah, it's an alternative. But here's the thing: when you look at Disney in terms of theme park, amusement parks, Disney is actually, because even though it's very popular, yes, very popular, always talked about, but they're actually outside the norm of what other theme parks are and how they operate.
They're like the Madison beer of theme parks. You know what I'm saying? Like, just
yeah, exactly. So, so it's like, you know, they are really the exception when it comes to theme parks. You know, you look at every other theme park or amusement park company and see how what they are, what they offer, how they operate. it's not really like it doesn't come close to Disney. I would say the closest is Universal East Coast side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What defines for you fellas as a theme park and an amusement park? Because you can still have certain themes in an amusement park where I feel like with Disney and Universal, they're theme parks. I feel like Knott's, even though it is considered as the very first traditional theme park, I feel like that it balances like right in the middle between theme park and amusement park.
I agree with you, George, 100%. I agree with you. And a lot of people are going to give a shit for this, I'm sure. But yeah, it's weird. It's kind of like in between, right? Where it's like Knott's is like there's elements of Knott's that are very themed. I'm not downplaying. The themed elements in Knott's are very, very good. The train, and then the robbers are on the train. They actually it's like a fake stick up and stuff. It's brilliant. It absolutely is brilliant. And the Calico Mine Train and the log ride. And the ghost town in general. Amazing stuff.
The Peanuts area.
The little Camp Snoopy thing. Yeah, exactly. But then they have a lot of like this kind of generic amusement park, like the boardwalk and the big steel roller coasters and stuff. It's kind of an in-between thing where Disney and Universal are very much theme parks, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing too, and I made this point a lot too, and a lot of people, I don't know, this is the funny thing, because Disney in and of itself is sort of like what, like, say, Michael Jackson is to pop music, right? Because Disney's a very unique sort of thing, right? It offers a very unique experience because there's a lot of history there and a lot of like cultural relevance over generation after generation after generation. It means a lot to people more than really any other theme park, you know, around.
Yeah.
But why I call Disney the Michael Jackson of theme parks is because you can be a Michael Jackson fan and not like pop music. Because Michael Jackson, while technically he's the king of pop, and he always will be, the man's a freaking genius, you know? Technically he's the king of pop, and technically his music is pop. His music is a different thing, a different flavor, and it's almost like Michael Jackson's music. It's almost like his own genre, even though he's technically pop. So you can you can like Michael Jackson's music and still not like pop music. And I kind of feel the same way with Disney parks, where it's like you can like the Disney theme park experience because there's a history with Walt, which no other company has. That story, that backstory, the generational impact, you know, the pop culture relevance, which no other company has. So it is a different animal. So for me, it's like, is there another competitor that's going to hit all those boxes, right? Because you can technically look, if you're just a ride person, if you're just going out there to just knock the rides out, yes, Knott's is an alternative, Universal is an alternative. Heck, even Six Flags would technically be an alternative if you're just about rides and that's it. But if you're going in for the experience, and it's more to you than just hitting a certain quota for the ride count, a lot of these other places don't really match up to Disney, you know?
And this is why you have an issue with Pixar Pier.
Yeah.
Because it gives off that same kind of vibe.
It gives off it feels like the boardwalk over at Knott's, basically. It's a little nicer, but
yeah, so we're going off with OG saying, for me, a theme park, again, this is where Disneyland is very unique in this. Now, Universal's coming up, yes. But for me, a theme park is a park where it's not only just theming, but it's atmosphere and immersion. Well, for me, that's what it is, right? With an amusement park, technically it's an amusement park because you're amused in it, right? It's entertainment. But amusement park is mostly, for me, a park like Six Flags, where it's like or Cedar Point, where it's like a bunch of thrill stuff. You know, a bunch of thrill stuff, a lot of stuff for like your adrenaline, a lot of spinning, upside down, heights, that kind of thing. But on that level, though, with Disney, that immersion, the atmosphere, right? The brand recognition, Disney has all of that. No other company studio has that strong of a park, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
What?
Where do you put that? Like,
sorry,
for amusement.
What do I?
Where do you place Knott's at? Do you place it as a theme park or an amusement park?
That's a good question, man. Because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Because you're right, it's in the middle. Because here's the problem: they have like an amusement park can have theming, and Knott's does have the themed areas like Ghost Town and the train and whatever, right? So they have those themed elements and immersive elements, but then they have all these Cedar Fair stuff in it as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe there should be a new category, you know, for something that's in the middle. But the things like that, Knott's is a very unique park, though. Knott's is only here in California. You know, there's no other Knott's Berry Farm anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, Knott's offers some unique stuff. I mean, the thing for me with Knott's is like, I love the food. Like I do. I like the food. I like their dining plan. I went with Theme Park Casual like a year and some change ago, and we got that dining plan, and I'm glad we did because, you know, you can eat every hour and a half, every like 90 minutes or something. And they have a lot of cool options there with food.
Well,
but George, you recently had an experience.
I have some things to say about Knott's food.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so so they are known for their world famous fried chicken, which I've had before, and it is really good. But I tell you what, this last time, the chicken was more drier than a 70-year-old woman who haven't had sex in 20 years. Like,
oh man, I tell you, oh god, that's bad, dude.
The Coke that Abby and I got, like part of the dinner, was $7 for a Coke. And the Coke was flat. There was no carbonation to it. It just literally tastes like a cup full of syrup. And then the pizza that we got, I think it was around the boardwalk, which again, Abby and I had the pizza before.
Right.
And it used to be like hot melted cheese with the pepperoni and everything. It wasn't that good. The cheese was gelatinous. The sauce was cold. Now, I don't know if that was just a fluke for that day. I don't know if it was because during the holidays, there's such a high demand moving forward that the quality dips, or if their food is just going down. But the day that I spent at Knott's, food was not up to par to what it used to be for me.
Well, a lot of it too is you're Mr. LA now, and you're doing all the Korean barbecue stuff and all the good shit out here now. You've raised the bar, bro. Now when you go to Knott's, you're like, oh god, what the hell is this? What's this? You know?
Although I will say, OG, to George's point though, is that this guy here is that I want to talk about just theme park pricing or food in general, right? Is that costs are going up, right? People complain about the cost of this, cost of that, just everyday life. The thing is, I think George, me and you and Abby had this conversation when we were eating at that Dino shit at Universal.
Oh yeah, where I got the cheeseburger, and it's like you could turn it into a trampoline.
Basically, yeah. And I was complaining, OG, to George and Abby, like, why are these theme parks serving such shitty food for such high prices? Now, obviously, because it's convenience, right? You're in the park, you're right there. If you're hungry, go and eat something. I get it. But on the other hand, though, when you're charging these high prices, that food better be fucking good. At least good. Make it edible. Like, right? Like, don't have hard ass fucking trampoline bouncing cheese on your goddamn hamburger, dude. Like, what the fuck is this? A school cafeteria?
Well,
like, no, feed me some proper food.
That was a conversation you and I were having too, Ebba. Like, with anytime, like, I noticed that I'm at the parks, whether it's Disneyland, Universal Hollywood, I'll exclude Walt Disney World, and I'll say why is because anytime that I say to Abby when we're in the parks, it's like, well, how about we get something to eat? And it's like, well, what are we going to get to eat? It's like, oh, do we just get another cheeseburger, another chicken tenders? It's like each place has the same food.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then, yeah, you pay for that upcharge because you're buying it in Disneyland or you're buying it in Universal. But again, it's like, it's just a typical burger or chicken tenders. Why is the price so high than when you can get it at a Jack in the Box or In-N-Out? And it's like, well, it's because technically what you're paying for is not really the food. You're paying for the brand name of that's giving it to you.
Yeah, no, you are. Yeah. And that's why I like the festivals, because you do get the bao buns or the different options of because theme park food in general, you're right. It's a lot of chicken tenders, cheeseburgers, that kind of stuff. It's kind of cool to have some more unique options when you're at these parks and everything. But it's an
Right.
arm and a leg. It's an arm and a leg, dude. It's very, very expensive, and a lot of times it's not good. And that we have video of it. Oh man, I wish we would have it. I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but the video of the fucking cheese at Universal where you were like flicking it or something.
Yeah, literally, like I was going like this. It was bouncing. It had bounced.
Dude, yeah, dude. You could have bounced a nickel off that bad boy. You would have.
Literally.
You know, go ahead, Webba.
No, I was gonna say, but I get that, right? I get what you guys are saying about that, and it's true. I just don't think that's right. You know, like you're charging these guests to come into your park for over $100-something for a family of 4 and 5, right? So you're spending like $600-700 just to fucking get in the park. Then you gotta spend however much money on this fucking food, which is like you gotta sell your like give a kidney transplant to afford it. And it's like, come on, dude! Like you're giving me something that tastes shittier than McDonald's. Are you kidding me?
And these parks know that, because if you're going to spend a whole day in these parks, the company knows that you're going to have to eat at some point. So it's like,
Exactly.
oh yeah, just throw something at them. They'll be desperate enough. They're going to eat. They'll pay $20 for a hamburger.
Well,
Yeah.
Right. And here's the thing. I'm not going to call it one single park because they all do this.
Oh, it's all of them. Absolutely.
They all do it. They all do it. I will give a couple shout outs to Universal. I did like the Korean dog that they have over there by the Mummy. That was really good. And then that one fucking that one hot dog over at the Krusty Burger that I got with you guys with the chili on it was amazing. And that thing was huge.
There's another chili dog. I don't know where this guy got it. We were just recently at Universal, and this thing was massive. It was like 2 yards, that they have like a specialty container with a little handle to carry it.
Oh wow. Yeah, that was me, bro. You saw me, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Yeah, no, it's wild. So Universal does have good options. That cheeseburger thing was unacceptable though. And the Knott's stuff with the chicken and stuff. I mean, come on, you guys. I know Knott's is cheaper to get in, but still, I mean, when like honestly, there's a lot of competition out here in Southern California. And I was just saying right now, one of the big selling points for Knott's is the food. So if you can't even nail that, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Webba.
Oh no, sorry. And back to like the comparing of the parks, right? In alternative. Yes, technically Knott's is a alternative. Yes, it's cheaper. Yes, more people can afford it. Yes, but is it a true theme park experience alternative to Disneyland? In my opinion, no, it's not.
It's not. No, it's not. You're not going to find an Indiana Jones adventure.
No,
you're not even really going to find a Pirates of the Caribbean over there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a different thing, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but it's not apples to apples or oranges to oranges, right? To stay on brand, it's a different experience, and that's fine, and it's cool for what it is. It's a top tier regional park, is what I would classify top tier regional park, but it doesn't really match up against Disneyland, and honestly, Universal Hollywood doesn't either, really. It's fun. I love Universal Hollywood, but it's not. Now, the Florida ones, Ebba, you were right. The Florida ones are way closer to the Disney equation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They've really stepped it up over there. But Hollywood, though, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what's funny? Actually, because since we're talking about Universal, I saw today or yesterday a picture on Threads or Instagram or something. I think it was from Dragon Blood. Shout out to Dragon Blood. But I saw a picture of apparently the hotel, because I think CBS or one of the news sites covered this, the new hotel that Universal Hollywood wants to implement. And apparently the hotel, from what I saw, the diagram, is like, you know, when you walk out of City Walk and you kind of turn left to go through security in like that little walkway there.
Yeah. And
there's all that street area. Apparently from that picture, it was like entire long hotel going around that entire thing,
which is cool because it kind of like bookends at the entry to the park and everything. I think it'll look really, really nice. Yeah, we'll see. I think Theme Park Wizard has been kind of covering that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's what I call special access.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I will want to say I'm going to call out KTLA for a second, because Mr. Wizard was on the forefront for all that stuff with the permits and everything. And KTLA did an article on that, and they never gave Wizard credit, which is which is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Absolute bullshit. I told Wizard when he comes back from his vacation, we're gonna do a video. We're gonna get the word out. We're gonna have KTLA do a retraction. We're gonna get Wizard on that article. Yeah, but
you should send an invite to them to get on the channel and be like, hey, this guy Wizard, he's your boy. You know?
There he is. Making moves. But speaking of Universal, we got some Universal stuff here with Donkey Kong, the coaster. We're gonna watch this. This is a POV from Filme de Viegem. I'm not familiar with the channel, but they got 27,000 subs, so they're doing a big thing. You know what? Since we're playing their video, I will go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would suggest everyone else do as well, and hit that like button. So let's go ahead and play this, guys. This is the Donkey Kong roller coaster. It's actually in Japan. I'm assuming the Epic Universe one will be identical or very close to this. So we'll see. But yeah, let's rock and roll, guys. Let's see what this is about. Actually, I'm gonna mute it because I don't know if like they got like Nintendo music and I might get messed up. All right, here we go. I will say the theming and stuff, like some of it looks like video game graphics. Like the molding of like the various pieces, like the wood and the track, looks really good. I will say.
And like the color palette looks really good as well.
Yes.
And with it being more so an outdoor coaster, you know, there's only so much that you know you can kind of show with detail. It's not like it's like inside.
Yeah, and
okay,
I like that. Oh, go ahead. I'll pause it. Hold on.
Yeah, pause real quick. OG, can you go back?
Yeah, I got you. Like right to here.
Yeah. So the jump, the sucky thing is again, everybody at home. This is why you can't just rely on videos or POV, because like this part right here, you cannot feel like what it is to experience this part when it jumps the track. You have to be on the attraction to actually get the full effect.
That's very, very true. And I'm going to give it a chance because I poo-pooed Mario Kart. I did poo-poo it, and I actually went on it, and I actually really did like it. Italiano had the opposite thing. He liked it.
I did poo-poo it, and I should have.
And you should have. He went on and didn't like it at all. And I agree with you, Webba, and it could be different in person, and we are going to try it. My only beef with it is the speed. It's not really going... I mean, I know it's a family coaster, but pretty slow. So for me, the believability of it, like jumping the track off of that speed, is kind of weird to me. But I don't know.
And also, too, I'll reserve judgment until I experience it myself on May 22nd, because that's what I did for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, to be fair. Now, again, I can't really tell based off of the POV, but I hope to give the illusion that you're really jumping the track. I wish that the vehicles would kind of lean back as you're kind of moving and then push you forward. Yeah. So that way, like when you're doing a jump, you're leaning back, like you're getting that air, that like the inertia sucking you back. And then as you're about to land on the track, it slowly tips you forward. Where if you just keep yourself straight, it's like, well, okay, you're really not jumping it. It's not giving you the illusion that you're hopping the track like the video game.
Right. Yeah, because if you look at the video, it kind of just looks like you go like this. You know, like there's no like it might feel different, and that's what I'm trying to say. But even like in the video games, if my memory is good enough to recall, I think when you jumped on the cart went back a little bit in the game, and then like it came back down like this.
Exactly. Yes.
It's kind of interesting. I don't know if they are going to have some of that effect in there. I'm not like, I mean, we'd have to ask somebody that really knows their Universal stuff, maybe like Wizard or something.
Also, too, the placement of where they have the jump, they have it right as you're about to descend off the lift hill. So it's like as you're coming down, and then you're doing the jump. So you're leaning forward. So I don't know if that's just because it's the POV, but the way that it looks, I hope that I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So we kind of go in here. That's kind of cool, and then switches over to this track. Kind of cool. I like that. I like the fake track sort of concept. I think that was very clever, especially for this franchise. I don't know if you guys remember the Donkey Kong Country game on like Super Nintendo and stuff. You would do the mine cart from track to track. So it's very true to the game, which I appreciate that a lot.
Right. Well, but with that being said, though, that's what's kind of my problem with this attraction, though. I have two problems. One, and like you'll see it in the video. I mean, look how long this video is. It's only like a minute and something. One, it's too short. Two, while the interior, like the colors look good, I would like to see like more mine cavern is like more mine cavernous.
Oh,
right?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like in the game where it jumps from like different levels inside like the cavern type of thing. I know.
Well, yeah, and yeah, so you're jumping from different levels, but you're also inside like a huge cave, right?
Yeah.
Like I hear you're outside going into some like type of building. It just, I don't know. I think of like a mine cart. I think of like either the inside like a cave like in Donkey Kong or like the Indiana Jones mine cart thing, right?
Yeah, and I think this is the big thing, and I've been saying this for a really, really long time on the channel. The biggest issue with Epic Universe is going to be the expectations for Epic Universe, because the fandom has spent years hyping this thing up beyond, and it's not. And I'll stand up for Universal. The expectations that have been placed on this park are not fair to Universal. It's been like the weight of the world is on this park. Like this thing is supposed to take down Disney, right?
Yeah, Universal wasn't the ones that said we're going to take down Disney with this. It was the fandom that created this scenario that this is going to be the greatest thing of all theme parks.
Exactly. And when you have this mindset and the expectations are sky high, and with this attraction in particular, the expectations were sky high. So when you get in here and you're seeing stuff, it's like, okay, it's a minute 40. The effect is okay. Now again, this is based on like, you know, the video, you know, so we do have to be fair. You're going to ride it with Abigail, George, before all of us in May. But yeah, based on the video, the early impressions, it hasn't really met the expectations, I think, for the fan community. You know what I'm saying?
No. And I will say too, right, with expectations, people kept saying, you know, how is Disney going to respond? You know, when are they going to respond? You know, what's it going to be? And it's like, to me, that I get it. You want Disney to act, and I get it. But guys, things take time. And yes, Universal and Disney, especially on that side of the country, are more competitive. At the same time, though, I think Disney also needs, I've said this before, they need to compete with themselves and make sure that they do better themselves.
Well, and
right?
that's even like when Iger had mentioned several earning calls ago where he's like, we're well aware of what's going on with Epic Universe. So that was his subtle way of saying, you know, we're not worried. Universal is doing what they're doing. We're going to do what we're going to continue to do. And it would help the theme park industry in general. When people go down for Epic Universe, chances are they're not going to go to the studios or Islands of Adventure. They're mainly going to go into Epic Universe, but it's, they're like, hey, while we're down here, let's go to Magic Kingdom. Let's go to Epcot. You know, or
right. Well, George, it's funny because these fans act like these companies don't know what's going on. Hell, my job knows what's going on with these parks, right? Like they have to know what the market and the industry is doing.
I've said it many times on the channel. These people they go to big banquets together. They go to meetings. They see each other crossing paths. It's not like where it's this huge competition where it's like, oh, look at that shadow place over there. We must never go there. You know?
Yeah. Well, and then fans love the high drama, the make believe high drama. Like Bob Iger's in his office, like flipping tables. He's so mad that Epic Universe is looking so cool. And it's like, no, Disney is not jealous. Disney is not this, that, and the other. No, like the fans think that it's also emotional, like it's emotion based with these companies. Like Iger's gonna get furious. He's gonna react to this thing emotionally. No, these guys and gals that run these companies, they know exactly what's coming down the pipeline, right? They know exactly what's on the horizon. A lot of the people that work on these rides work at Disney too, and vice versa, right? So they know, and it's none of this stuff is a big surprise. And they have all this data and analytics showing what kind of impact it's going to have. Very little of this stuff is a surprise to them. You know, but the fans like to insert this sort of like drama there where it's like it's Bob Iger's mad or Brian Roberts. You know, it's like it's all fan shit. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, George.
Right.
Well, and also too, what kind of worries me with this ride is this is the POV for Universal Japan. And Japan does everything so pristine and so perfect, no matter whether it's in their parks or in their community, in their metropolitan. You know, Japan is like 1,000 steps ahead of everybody. So to have something like this in Japan, that worries me of what it's going to be like in the domestic park. Is it going to be a lesser experience than this, or is it going to be the same? But even if it is the same, I mean, I agree with Ebba. The quality of the surroundings of the coaster is a bit lackluster because I did play Donkey Kong Country on the Super NES, and I am used to the levels where when you are riding the minecart, you go in and out of the cavern, you go into this like tropical jungle area. Me personally, I would have loved this whole entire attraction indoors, but make it look like outdoors of the video game itself rather than it be completely open. Because also, too, with it being another coaster, yet again, for Universal in Orlando, where, what happens in Orlando, folks? It rains. How long is this attraction going to be up, depending on the, you know, with the rainy season and what have you? And also, too, we mentioned it before, the amount of time that this ride is. And I know people were, like, bitching and complaining about the Frozen roller coaster in Hong Kong, which, again, it is short. I've seen the POV. It is a very short ride, but so is this.
Well, and there's more expectations on this. So it kind of hits even harder because it's like the Frozen thing is cool. What, you know, it is what it is. It is too short. I mean, you know, call it like it is. But there was more riding on, no pun intended, a roller coaster joke. There's more riding on this attraction, the Donkey Kong one. This was the selling point for a lot of people for this entire park. You know, go ahead, Webba.
Now, I wanted to ask you guys, do you think the whole drama thing and then the selling point of this, right? Do you think because this is how I'm kind of interpreting this on some aspect, is that some of the fan community is looking at this as like, yeah, Universal doing so great and blah, blah, like as a way to kind of like, yeah, you know, they're showing Disney, right? Like,
yes, and that's where, but I'm glad you brought that up. That's where the emotion stuff comes in. The fans treat this like a relationship, right? Oh, we're gonna flirt with Universal to make Disney jelly. You know, yeah. I'm gonna flirt with it with this park to make Disney jelly. Disney doesn't care, you guys. Okay, you're not making anyone jelly, but you're right. That's the mindset, though, right? It's like this thing where it's like, yeah, we're gonna heap all this praise onto Universal because it somehow is gonna show the Mouse House something. It's not gonna show the Mouse House anything because the same people that do that will wait 9 hours for Oogie Boogie Bash tickets and shit like that. Like no one votes with their wallet, so they don't really care if you're writing love letters to Brian Roberts. If you're still buying the Disney stuff, Disney doesn't give a shit what you say. You know,
or
what I'm
it's
saying?
Even like the opposite matter, where when you look at Disney releasing the POV for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, then you have those same people that were like, Disney was trying to one up Universal, but guess what? It was a fail. They didn't do it right, you know. And it's like, and yes, to be fair, that POV was crappy. I'm not saying it wasn't. But when you tie like a personal relationship that you're making these theme parks kind of go head to head in competition, it's like, just take it for what it is. It's a crappy POV. Ride it yourself.
Right. And I'm glad I did because I haven't ridden the Florida version of Tiana's, but I rode the Disneyland version and I had a blast with it. It was a million times better than the videos give justice. Even the good videos aren't as good as the actual attraction. And it's probably the same thing for this Donkey Kong attraction. I want to make it very clear. None of us here are judging this ride and making any definitive statements here. We are judging the video. But when we go on this thing, our opinions might be completely different. My opinion on Mario Kart was completely different than what I saw in the video, and I admit that fully. So I might think this is even better than I'm expecting, or I might think it's worse. But I'm going to give it a chance.
The only thing that this has done for me that kind of changed a little bit was I was contemplating on whether to aim for this as the first ride of the day or go into Dark Universe. I still am obviously going to experience this. I want to still, but it definitely made me decide to go to Dark Universe first.
Right.
Before attempting this ride, because we don't know, like, as far as operations go, wait time, but that's really the only thing that that changed for me as far as, but I still want to experience it because, as I said, I would be a hypocrite if I was to say, oh, well, I'm just going to go based off of this video, but you'll never really know until you ride something, or even a movie. You read critics' thoughts on movies. You see reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and this and that. It's like, well, yeah, that may be true, but the movie may mean something different to you, and you won't know until you see it for yourself.
Right. Well said.
Right, sorry, OG. Do you mind if I say this real quick?
Sure.
So just real quick. I know it's not about theme parks, but I guess Universal, they did a really good job with Wicked, right? Like I talked to you guys about that, right? Like I went and saw Wicked, right? I mean, obviously we all know like the traditional Wizard of Oz movie, right? I saw it a lot as a kid, but I didn't really think too much of it. It was like, yeah, it's a good movie, right? And I'm not into musicals. Okay, I've never seen a Broadway show. The last musical movie I've seen was fucking Grease. Okay, like I don't watch musicals. But I'm telling you though, I went to watch this because I was like, what? I have my Regal Limited Pass. This kind of seems interesting. Like it's being hyped up. Let me go watch it. Right? Let me tell you, Universal and everybody else who like made this movie, fantastic, man. Like it was like, to me, it was one of the best movies of the year. Honestly, I really really liked it.
And you liked it too, George, right? You came out there.
I got to see it twice. I went with my mom, and then I took Abby to see it. And I have to say, it is a really good movie. I have also seen the Broadway version of it about 15 years ago, and it does do it justice, but it even does more because there's a lot more. And actually, Abby said this, to give her the credit for it, that there's a lot more that could be done in a film that you can't do on a stage.
Right. So like the reason why I bring that up is because I want to point out like that you may not think you like something. Like, for example, I didn't think I would like the movie too much because like it's a musical, right? It's Wizard of Oz. I don't really give a crap about that franchise, right? But let me go check it out, and I ended up really liking the movie. So it's the same for like these theme parks or for the attraction, right? Like I can see this and say, oh yeah, it's this and that, but then I have to officially go on it myself to really state my 100% opinion.
Well said. Absolutely. So here we go. A lot, the track effect is pretty cool. I will say that. And then here we go into the cavern. Now this is the part where this is what you're talking about, right? But this is not a good show.
It looks like a black box studio.
Yeah. Like what it like. Okay, Universal.
You know what it looks like? It looks like, when you go on the tram tour at Universal Hollywood and you pull into like the station right before like Fast and Furious or something.
Oh god. Yeah, the stage, yeah.
Like, how your tram pulls in and then there's like that moment before it starts and you see a bunch, you're just in a big like sound stage thing. That's what this looks like. Go ahead, Webba.
Yeah, no, like Universal, you guys have been doing a great job, but my god, what is this? Why did you cheapen out on like this right here? Because you see like the OG, if you can go back a little bit, just a little bit on the video real quick. Like continue and then right, stop. Okay. So see the crystals, or the crystal, right? Perfect opportunity for this to be a cavern, a cave, something where you have a lot of crystals and diamonds inside.
Right.
Why are we in a sound stage? This breaks the immersion.
Yes, this looks like Donkey Kong supercharged, You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no. I mean, you have that one little
like an oversized closet. You know, you can see the hangers like on the side, even though that's not what they are, but they look like they're hangers. Like on
Hey, George. Hey, George. Is this where you keep your snake, bro?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's enough room for it.
And I'm sure at night it looks better, but man, it looks terrible during the day.
No, and then this right here, like like this design is not inherently bad. It just for me doesn't fit. Like because I get it, they're trying to make like this like the Donkey Kong type of like temple or something. I don't know.
A lot of start and go, like stop, go, stop, go. It's just like
yeah,
know.
There isn't much to it, man. I mean, yeah, I think that's about it. Well, we're coming to the end here. We'll kind of finish it off and then we'll continue. But yeah, I think that's the end of it. I mean, there's some cool scenes in there, but then they shit the bed with like that one cave scene. It's like Universal does that a lot though, where they go like 90% there and then they give up. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, they're right there, just finish the job. You know what I'm saying? They're like that close, and then they just give up, you know? So
yeah.
I
will say, guys, that like again, watching the first video I've seen, the crappy POV, even watching this better POV, I will say, like, still, I have to go on it to fully judge. But as of now, I'm not impressed.
No, neither am I. Based on the video, I'm not impressed. Now, my mind, in my opinion, will probably change once I actually ride the attraction. But as of right now, based on what we're seeing, based on what the expectation was for this thing, like I said, this isn't just some secondary attraction in the park that doesn't really, it's not some filler ride. This Donkey Kong attraction was the selling point to this park for a lot of people. Does that ride, does that POV, based on the video and based on the video only, does that live up to that? I don't think it does.
Well, not even just the park, but even just for the Super Nintendo World area. A lot of people are saying, oh, the best area is going to be Super Nintendo World. It's going to be the #1, where it's going to be popular. But if you really think, if that's what the coaster that we're getting on top of the Yoshi ride, which is basically a people mover for Mario, and I'm sorry, the Mario Kart is not even up to its expectation. You basically have 3 kind of kiddie rides for Super Nintendo. They should have at least had one big e-ticket attraction, which I was gearing towards Donkey Kong, but it doesn't even seem like it's that.
Well, and Nintendo is a family company, but it's for the family though. It shouldn't just be for little kids. I think like there's people who are my age. I grew up on Nintendo in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, they should, the issue that Universal, I think, is having with doing Nintendo in the parks is that they see it as a kid brand.
Yeah.
Like a Kung Fu Panda or something. And it's not. There's people in their 40s and their 50s who grew up on this shit and they want to experience it too. It's for the whole family. And this coaster and even Mario Kart, it's all geared towards like more like little kids. Go ahead, Webba.
You know, I was about to OG point out that if Universal, if you like this idea, feel free to use it. and this OG was an idea I actually brought up to George when we were actually on Space Mountain. I think George knows where I'm going with this. So I told George, I think I told you too, OG, that both me and my wife's favorite version of Space Mountain is Hyperspace Mountain. It's like, he's like, yeah, I love Star Wars, of course. But the way they did that in Space Mountain was amazing. You know, the hyperdrive. No, you're in the dogfight. you want like a bit more action-packed ride that's thrilling. Make that Star Fox. You know, get a Space Mountain-like coaster. Have it be Star Fox themed. Have a story in it where you're with Fox McCloud and the Star Fox crew. You're battling Star Wolf and the Andros baddies, and you're flying through space. You know. Do that.
Exactly. Dude, I'm telling you, you can have a family attraction that has a little bit of a thrill edge to it. For example, Star Tours. That's a family ride, 100% a family ride, but it's not so safe. it has a little bounce to the ounce. You know what I'm saying? It has a little bit of that edge to it. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, a lot of the Nintendo stuff at Universal just feels a little too safe to me. They can amp it a little bit. Now, that, to be fair to Universal, it might be Nintendo that's demanding that stuff. I don't know.
Maybe even like I think the perfect balance is really with like Indiana Jones. Again, it's adventurous, it's thrilling, but it's not like super intense,
right?
So yeah. I mean, maybe if you have like back problems and stuff like that, sure, but it's not really fast. There's no big drops. There's no heights, but it's still thrilling. So I think like that. If I think an IP, I think they need to use more. For Nintendo Universal, use more IPs within their brand to make more adventurous attractions. Legend of Zelda, Star Fox, Metroid, F-Zero, where it's racing, right, or something where you're going really, really fast in like a futuristic city or something. Like there's brand or IPs in the Nintendo brand that you can create into a more thrilling experience.
Yeah, and I think Donkey Kong, you could have gone a little bit more thrilling than they did, and they played it a little safe. When you're going over that jump, I mean, I feel like you're barely moving. So that's the problem too, because the speed, I'm not saying you got to go 90 miles an hour, but the speed is going to add to the believability of the jump. That's all part of that experience. If you're going only like 10 miles an hour, you're not really going to believe you're jumping this thing. It's going to affect the experience.
And then also the mechanics of the ride vehicles themselves. As I said, it gives the illusion that as you're about to jump, the vehicle leans you back and you're tilted back. And then as you're going over, it leans you forward. So it's like you're doing a leap jump.
Well, George, I'm curious. I'm curious if in that effect for the track jumping, if there's any weightlessness that you feel when that happens, like if your butt comes off the seat. So I mean, and maybe if because I think if it does, it would give a more realistic effect, because you feel like you'll be going off the track, flying, whoosh, boom,
Mm-hmm. But there should have been like an Indiana Jones Jeep effect almost on the vehicles, where there is like on hydraulics a little bit, not too crazy, but like, when you jump and you land, the vehicle kind of does this. Yeah. And it might, I don't know. I don't follow Universal close enough to say definitively if it will or won't have that. I don't know. If it does, Universal fans, let me know in the chat. But I mean, it doesn't look like it from the video, at least, So we'll see. But we got more news. We got our last and final story here, fellas. Not a huge story, but it's from our friend Mr. Scott Gustin. Mr. Scott here says, saying a final goodbye to Dino-Rama at Animal Kingdom. The last day for Triceratops Spin, Fossil Fun Games, and Chester and Hester Dinosaur Treasures is 1 month from today on January 12th. George, you're kind of, you used to be the Florida guy, but now, I don't know, bro. I mean, you're kind of Cali now, you know what I'm saying?
West Coast, baby. West Coast.
Hi, Monster Hunter Pete Hope.
There you go, Mr. West Coast himself. What do you think, George?
I'm very excited to the fact that, Disney recently filed the permits to, to get stuff going with Tropical Americas. January 12th is the final day for basically the Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama area to be closed off. They're going to start the Encanto section first, and then eventually move over to close Dinosaur sometime in 2026 to make way for Indiana Jones, which I think is smart, because with very little that's in Animal Kingdom right now, you want to still have as many popular e-ticket attractions open as possible. Being that they're just closing a spinner ride and a children's play area and games and such, that really has no interference to the park operations, that they can start getting the Encanto section going, because they're basically starting it from the ground up. With Dinosaur, they can keep it open for as long as possible, still have a lot of people eaters, no pun intended, for Dinosaur. And then park operations can, flow nicely. And then at the very end, they can close down Dinosaur for the overlay of Indiana Jones.
There we go. Yeah, I'm glad that I was able to go with you, George, a year and a half ago, and we checked this out. I think I actually had a beer here, if I'm not mistaken.
You
at
did.
One of these. Yeah, I think I had a beer pretty much everywhere at Walt Disney World. I mean, I think everywhere we went, I had a beer. I can't even believe it. It's been 6 months. I haven't had any alcohol. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm with you, George, on this. I'm glad that it's going away. I think it's pretty hideous. This looks like something that you would see at a regional park, like a Knott's. Again, I'm not crapping on Knott's. Sorry, theme park casual. I'm not crapping on Knott's. I just, it's a regional park, though. You know what I'm saying? I expect a Disney park not to have that regional park vibe, and this definitely has that regional park vibe. What about you, Mr. Webb?
And also, too, really quick, Animal Kingdom is not the type of park that deserves something like this.
No, Animal Kingdom is a very organic, kind of like real world kind of thing. That's one thing I love about it, is because you go through and you feel like you're visiting these countries. You feel like, you're in that part of the world. Everything feels very lived in and organic. And then you go turn the corner into this thing. It's like this plastic, fake, colorful area. It just doesn't fit the rest of the park at all. And it just looks super cheap. It screams like 2001, like Disney, when Michael Eisner was going through all this stuff. This is the cheap kind of stuff that he was doing at that time. But what say you, Mr. Webb? What are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, so for everybody to know out there, I'm the only one who hasn't been out to Walt Disney World, so I can only say what I've seen in pictures and what it looks like in videos. But I'm glad Disney is finally taking care of that area. I mean, it looks very lackluster. It doesn't look like it was very popular. I know the fan community has always been like, with the announcement of what's going to be going there, people were like, oh, why can't Disney just expand? Look at all the space they have. True, but you got to think about this. If you have something shitty, are you just going to let it be shitty and then put something great next to it? No, use the space you have. Yeah, use the space you have, make the shitty thing great, and then extend and build more great things.
Webba, you're actually using logic and you're reasonable. Come on, are you sure you are a Disney fan, sir? No, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense though, right? You have an area that's weak. So why keep it just to keep it? Like, get rid of it and make an area in there that fits the park better, that is more impressive, that fits the standard that you're used to with Disney. Yes, technically you can expand and you don't have to bulldoze the cheap area, but get rid of the cheap area because it causes the impression of the overall park. It brings it down. Go ahead, George.
And this goes off of what I was saying as far as like my crazy predictions video. I know I was more so talking about DCA, but it goes into really any of the Disney parks, to be honest with you. It's just because they're updating Dino Land into Tropical Americas, fans think, okay, well, that's it. It's all well and done. It's going to be Tropical Americas and it's going to stop right there. But down the road, they can always expand out Tropical Americas. There could be another attraction or two aside from just Encanto, Indiana Jones, and the Carousel. Another idea that I got off of with the Tropical Americas that I've been saying for a long time is adding an attraction from Up. You have the Paradise Falls area that you could add the mountains, do a forced perspective, have the house on top of the mountain with a waterfall, have a jungle type area. It fits in with Tropical Americas because the movie was set in South America. Now, again, that's not going to happen right now, but it could eventually down the road. I don't know why people keep surmising to say once a land is changed, that's it. It's done. There's no room for expansion.
Right. And that's one of the things that I like. Avengers Campus is a perfect example of that, George. You make a great point. Avengers Campus as it is lackluster. There's no doubt about it. That the MCU deserves more than what's currently there.
Yeah. But
I've always said it's a seed planting thing. They put Marvel in there. Now you can go and expand, which is exactly what they're doing. Now you're going to get the e-ticket. Now you're going to get the flight lab. Hopefully they save some room to do other things as well. I'm kind of worried about that because we don't really know where Pandora's going. If Pandora goes like balls out in Hollywood land and takes up all that room, then Avengers Campus is sort of landlocked and stuck, which I hope that doesn't happen. I hope they do save some room for Marvel. But that's the thing. You're right, George. These fans get in here and they think that like what you get is what it's going to be forever. Even Tiana's. Okay, you have problems with Tiana's, right? Well, that ride will likely be added to, and plus they just added some stuff, right? Ray, and I forgot who Ray and Evangeline. They're still adding stuff to that attraction, and they will add, like they always have on these attractions for years to come. It's not done. Once these things are done, opened, they're not like the etched in stone, like the fucking 10 Commandments. You know what I'm saying? Like you can add to it, you can plus it. They're still adding and plussing to things like, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, because there's stuff like, for example, right? Either they didn't have the budget this time to add it in. Maybe next budget we add it in, right? It was always planned from the beginning. Or, hey, time constraint, didn't have time to add it in right now, but we still want to do it. We can still add it in later. You know what I mean? So they always go back to add things in, and you know they're always continuing to improve stuff, which is fantastic. You know?
Yes.
So with this land, yes, you know, get rid of the stuff that's there, make improvements. And here's the thing too, the fans were complaining about Indiana Jones. Well, why? And I was telling George constantly, like, George, for a long time, I always wondered why Walt Disney World, the East Coast Park, never had a freaking Indiana Jones ride. Why? It's such an amazing ride. And then now with the fans are like, Indiana Jones, what does that have to do with animals? OG, like you said, it's not just about the animals, it's about the culture.
Yes, dude. What does Expedition Everest have to do with animals? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Except just about like the mythical Yeti. That's it, you know. And even then, like, what was it? I don't remember the article, but there was an article that was saying, right, guys, that Indiana Jones, like, there was some type of like mystical animal or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Indiana Jones is going to have the same connection to this park that Expedition Everest does.
Yeah.
What's the problem? What is the problem? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So I think fans, like, I think they need to react to things too often. And like, because guys, here's these Imagineers, they know, or like they know what they're doing. They know the concerns that we would have or that you're thinking about, right? They're freaking working on their project.
Well, and that's what Kim Irvine said in the Imagineering story. She said, we appreciate the fans caring and loving the parks, but they need to understand that so do we. And we would never do anything to put detrimental harm into these parks. And I'm sorry, I get it. A lot of people are hyped up right now about Monsters, Inc. replacing Muppets. Muppets is going into Rock and Roller Coaster, but I guarantee you those same people are still going to be in the slightest amount curious to go on that Monsters, Inc. roller coaster and see the refurb of Rock and Roller Coaster with Electric Mayhem.
Oh, they will.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
And that's why we talked about earlier, when fans try to make Disney jelly, it doesn't really matter because you can flirt with Universal all day long. It doesn't matter if you keep going back to Disney and giving them your money. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And up to that part, right, is all these fans, they constantly cry, complain, moan about this, and that. But then guess what? They're the first ones lined up at the gate to go in. You know, It's like, guys, come on. You know, it's like, and here's the Disney doesn't care. Like, if you're out, someone else is coming in. You know, their parks are always populated. There is not less demand. There is more demand than freaking ever, dude. Like
why they constantly they thank us for being annual pass holders, for being Magic Key holders, but at the end of the day, I'm sorry, they're going by the normies because the normies don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's the normies. They're going for the normie market, 100%, George. The normies are where the real money is at. I get it. Like as the diehard fans, we like to believe we're the most important in the room. We're not. I'm a diehard fan. I'm not talking any kind of shit. I'm just being realistic. I'm a diehard fan. Disney is not focused on me like they are the normies, and they shouldn't be. The normies should be the priority. If it was up to people like me, you would have, you know, the 9 old men projection mapped on Main Street for the 100th and things like that. The soccer mom and her kids aren't going to care about any of that. You have to play to the normies. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and here's with the normie thing, right? This is like it's like about 3-4 years back. I was in line, like an actual standby line for a Splash Mountain, and there was like a couple younger girls in front of me, right? And I think there were like three of them, and one of them asked the other one. I kind of chuckled to myself, and they're like, "What's this ride even based off of?" So it's like you have normies like that who they love the park, they love the attraction, but they're not diehards where they're gonna know what this is from and what that's from, right? It's like Disney as a company, they have to appeal to the mass audience, not just a small little bubble that we all like live in.
Right. Oh, well, you fellas ready for this one? So the last time I was actually at Disneyland, it was at DCA. I'm really living the life like a local because it was the quickest in and out that I've ever done at Disneyland. Abby and I went to DCA. We finished up our sip and stroll tabs, so to speak, for the food booths and everything. We got our picture taken with the three caballeros, and we left. That was it. But for the time being that we were sitting there eating, there was this family from the UK. Yes, Ebba, another family from the UK. And this boy came up to his dad. And again, I apologize for all the British people. My accent is probably going to be very bad.
Dad,
that's literally what he did. I swear to God, they must do this thing. He went, "Dad, I want to go on the Tower of Terror." Well, I wanted to say, well, it's not the Tower of Terror anymore. It's Mission Breakout. So that's what I wanted to say. But then they just kept going back and forth. And this, I swear to God, Abby took one look at my face, and I was going to say something. I had to get up and walk away. He said, "Oh, I heard that Daffy Duck is over there by the whatever he said." And I turned to Abby and I said, "How the fuck can you mess up Donald with Daffy?"
Yeah. But that's the normies.
This guy has been watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit way too many times.
Yeah, but that's the normies. And that's why when people used to tell me, oh, Disney has brand damage, or Disney has an issue with with families trusting their product, and that's why people aren't going to Disney movies, but they all lined up to go to the Spider-Verse movie. Okay, well, do you think the normies know all the intricacies of that Sony Marvel deal? No. Yeah. The soccer mom going to the fucking Spider-Verse thinks it's a Disney movie.
Right.
They don't know all the dealings.
So this dad really didn't even know the Disney brand. He just knew that he was at a park with his family having fun, regardless if it was Donald Duck, if it was Daffy Duck, if it was Mickey Mouse, if it was Bugs Bunny. He didn't care because obviously he didn't have the full investment as we do as Disney diehards.
Exactly. No, very few people do. And that's why the Splash Mountain thing was like overblown as well in the fan community. Like, you know, the story and this and that. It's like, no, the normies don't care about any of that. The normies get in that log. Oh, cool, catchy song. Oh, cool, there's an alligator. Oh, cool, there's a little squirrel or whatever the animals are, right? Tortoise, you know. That's as deep as it goes, you guys. You know, it wasn't that serious. Now, for the diehard fans, it's a whole different situation, and it's like the storyline, this, that, and the other. The normies aren't paying attention to any of that. I could ask any one of my coworkers at work, what was the story for Splash Mountain? They couldn't tell you. I got in the log. I saw some alligators. I saw a tortoise. I saw a bear and a fox, and Zippity Doo Dah played. That's as far as it goes with most people, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, there's like I mean, obviously we're all there to have fun, right? We're all have fun on the way at the park and whatnot. But they're there just to enjoy like the Disney and the park and yay, right? Like they're like, for them, it's not this deep critical theme. Like, oh, that wall should be a shade of blue. Oh, why is there a broken crack in the floor right there? Oh, why is that a dusty light bulb? Like they're not doing this stuff, guys. Like they don't.
Well, hell, I'm a diehard fan, and I'm not even doing that.
Yeah, I know. There you go. Like,
I tell you, it's crazy. It's crazy. You got to put your normie hat on sometimes, but the fandom rarely ever does. No. The fandom rarely ever does. Yeah. You know,
I do have to apologize to all the Brits out there for my very bad interpretation of your accent. My accent is worse than even Dick Van Dyke's, but also I brought that up really quick just to say December 13th was Dick Van Dyke's 99th birthday. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the Disney legend himself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We love Dick Van Dyke. 93, huh?
99.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, 99. Oh, on the 13th. So yesterday. Interesting. Wow, man. Well, yeah, happy birthday, Mr. Dick Van Dyke. 99.
Hey,
So
well, here's the thing, OG. If you just turn it upside down, it's 66.
there you go. There it is. Absolutely. Mr. Italiano, it was great having you on, brother, from your undisclosed.
Or really quick, or if you just turn one of the 9s into a 6, you keep it at 69.
69 all day, baby, right?
All day, every day, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Italiano, where can everybody find you on social media?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Mr. Sticky Icky and Mr. Webba, where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. This was an excellent, fantastic conversation, gentlemen. It was wonderful. You can find me, Mr. Webba, on Threads, Instagram, and Twitter. Mr. Webba at Webslinger760.
Slinging those webs, just slinging web. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. And while Dino-Rama and even Donkey Kong, are kind of lackluster, there's one thing that never disappoints and that's never lackluster, and that's the Queen. Take it away, girl.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.